The content provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended for a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your doctor or other qualified health professionals with any questions you may have regarding your medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. On today's episode, we will be chatting about navigating relationships and a chronic illness at the same time, welcoming Sebastian's partner, Bridget. We're your hosts, Isabella and Sebastian Harris. This is Life on the Level. If you're listening, you probably have or know someone with type 1 diabetes. We're here to give you the knowledge and encouragement so you can thrive. Join us as we dive into all things type 1, real experiences, expert insights, and practical strategies. Okay, red flag, green flag, or orange flag when they want to connect their phone to the data of your CGM.
Oh, I think green personally.
I think green, it's cute.
Yeah. So
cute.
at least they know.
Yeah.
Okay, what about buying or bringing supplies when you need it?
Nice if I ask, but also if I haven't asked, don't.
Okay.
So it's kind of orange for me, I think. What about for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a mix because it's difficult as long as you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Green flag,
there's a lot more to it. Yeah. Okay. Red flag, green flag, orange flag. Not seeming stressed or trying to be engaged despite being like scared of needles and blood.
That is definitely a green.
I feel like that's an obvious green one, that one, for me. Yeah. I think that's nice that they're trying.
Or what about reminding you to inject or check your blood?
Don't tell me what to do. That's a solid red. Nope. You're looking at me. You don't think that's red?
No, I agree with you.
Oh, you think it's red as well?
Well, yeah, it's difficult. It's like one of that middle ground, isn't it? If they haven't seen you inject, even though you've eaten food, it's like sometimes it's a good reminder, but just it depends on who tells you.
Okay, so you're sort of orange on that one.
Yeah.
No, I'm solid red. Don't tell me what to do. Okay, what about asking if your headache or some other illness or whatever is diabetes related?
Yeah, that's red.
Really? For me, that's green.
Really?
Well, because it's more like if you've got a headache and they're like, oh, is your diabetes okay? Like, is your blood sugar okay? I think it's kind of, a lot of people might think that's red because they're like, what do you mean? Do you think it's my diabetes? It's not my diabetes.
Response.
I think it's nice because it makes me think that they care about how my health is diabetes-wise. Like, at least it's in their head that they've thought of my diabetes.
When it comes to that, I want my partner to be able to say that, do you have a headache, but not immediately go, it's diabetes related.
No, it's more the question. Yeah.
What about accompanying you on appointments?
Like doctor's appointments, medical appointments? Look, depends what it's for. But if it's diabetes related and they want to learn, green. I think that's so sweet. I love that. No, definitely. All right. What about, for me, this is a green, but I don't know. Gosh. This could be, answering on my behalf or standing up for me when making a comment first when their family or friends say something insensitive. So like if their family or friends make some insensitive diabetes comment, they immediately are sort of like stepping in. Or would you prefer to answer?
That's orange for me.
That's orange. Okay, that's green for me.
Yeah, I think sometimes I like for someone to step up for me and back me, but then at the same time I want to go, but I want to be able to speak for myself.
Oh, I'll definitely still speak for myself, but I still love that they've like...
I do
they're
appreciate
like, no, that's not what it is. Yeah.
How about disregarding extra time when you're planning things to include diabetes?
Like if I'm going out somewhere and I need to do my makeup and also change my insulin pump site.
Yeah.
For me, that's red, but that's only purely because I'm like, you should know how, because you've been with me, you should understand how much time and the things that I need to do for my diabetes. Like if you haven't considered that, if you've not forgotten, but if it's just missed your mind and you haven't actually forgotten that it's a thing, that's like fair enough. You don't have to worry about it all the time. But I think as a partner, you should also be thinking about my health as not as much as me, but like it should still be in your mind. You sort of take it on as well.
Something you should at least consider.
Yeah, definitely.
So as we're talking about these red, green, and orange flags, the relationships in our life become super important and who we choose to spend our life with. And whether that be a friends or family or a partner, the people that we choose to surround ourselves are the people that are going to make the biggest difference in the future. Mm-hmm. So speaking on that, I am super excited about this next part.
Woo!
Since you're on the topic of navigating relationships.
And I'm single.
Yeah, okay. I get the amazing privilege of welcoming someone very near and dear to my heart. So joining us today from regional New South Wales is a future pharmacist and my amazing girlfriend, Bridget.
Yay! Hey Bridget, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. What did you already know about diabetes before you had met Seb?
So I had like a rough understanding. Like I knew the difference between type 1 and type 2, but I didn't know the types in depth, I guess. So I knew that having diabetes, you required insulin. I knew there was hypers, hypos, but I never really knew the extent of it. Like I'd never had a person with type 1 diabetes in my life before. So I didn't have that first-hand experience until I met Sebastian. But I had a little general knowledge, but not a great depth.
Were there any sort of, I guess, situations where you really saw how it affected people? Because, you know, how you didn't understand the full depth of it and a lot of it's invisible. Were there any sort of examples you had where you came across a situation and you were a bit shocked or thrown off?
I think a prime example would probably be when we were in Petra. We had to climb 1,000 steps to the top of this monastery.
Why were you climbing 1,000 steps, Seb?
Because it was the highest point in the whole area. Don't worry, I'm not stupid.
I was like, yeah, okay. Did you bring jelly beans at least?
Yeah, but...
All right, yeah, go on, Bridget. I'm here for it. I'm just ready to...
Yeah, like I knew it was going to be tough for myself. And I was with my nan and I sent her up on a donkey. I was like, no, you're not walking this. You go.
I'll take the donkey.
Yeah. It looked a lot more fun, to be honest. But I was with Sebastian and his family going up and we were so close to the top. I remember he was just like breaking down and I was like, oh no, what's happening? Like, don't die on this hill, please. Oh, I don't want to send you down on a donkey. It's not good what's happening.
Dead on a donkey, Seb.
No, I was scared. And
He's just like, looking at me.
Yeah.
I got the biggest death stare just then.
Yeah, this isn't like World War I Anzac anymore with the donkeys.
No, fair enough. And how did you feel, Seb? Were you feeling pretty out of it?
Well, I mean, I wasn't doing great the day before because we had a lot of travel and I'm not great with traveling and motion sickness, so
you got
that's
that on
fun.
top.
But yeah, it was just like that whole body kind of collapsed in itself, the physically sick, and then my blood was messing up, and then that whole like the mentality that I had at the time was just, this is stupid, what the hell am I doing? So like 45 minutes and I thought, oh, round trip. No, 45 minutes one way. So I'm like 1,000 steps, and I mean, I don't know if you'd call them steps. It was just like some rocks that you could step on.
Were they just like rocks? Okay. Was it
awful.
hot?
It was fairly warm.
Yeah. He was not coping.
No, and I think it was like a bit of a shock that his body could change so quickly and that it didn't just change him physically, but also like mentally he was like, don't think I can make it.
Yeah.
I was like, we're so close though, and it just was definitely like a hurdle for him. And it was a bit disheartening to see that he'd gotten so close and then something out of his control just put a bit of a pin in the situation.
So how did you react to that? How was it for you? Did you freak out? Were you stressed or?
I was trying to like be supportive, but I didn't really know how to help because I didn't completely understand what was happening to him. And I was kind of like, oh, come on, like we can make it. We're so close, but it's just totally different block that I didn't know how to help.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was tough to know, like, am I pushing too much? Do I need to just let him breathe? And just trying to figure out what was the best way to go about it.
On that, because I think for me, having diabetes has affected my past relationships, and not in like a negative way at all, but I think more in the sense that it's another thing they have to learn, right? It's another, if they're not very into medical health and understanding medical things in general, it's a whole other area they have to learn. And can be quite stressful if they don't understand that world at all. And I've definitely had arguments, bickers with partners about them not understanding, or where I've been in situations where they should have helped me and they didn't, or I felt like they should have understood something and they didn't. And I guess has anything happened in your relationship with your experience where it's affected your relationship at all?
I think from my point of view, I have got a bit of a medical background. So I think that kind of helps. Like I'm currently studying pharmacy at the moment and I've worked in pharmacy. So I kind of get that the day-to-day.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of exposure to it.
Yeah, and like definitely I've been learning about it at university at the moment. I call up and I'm like, hey, did you know this about yourself? And he's like, yes, I did.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I've lived with it for a little bit. I'm very well aware.
Yeah, well, I learned something today, so.
That's nice that you care, though. It's nice that you want to learn. And I think like with anything, it's like a hobby. You learn things about your partner, right?
Did you just call diabetes a hobby?
Oh my gosh, no, I said like a hobby, like with their hobbies. You want to learn what they do. Stop it, okay? Clarification, no, I did not call diabetes a hobby. I'd rather it be a hobby, but I wouldn't choose it. Anyway, you learn about their sports or whatever they're into because you want to learn more about them and you want to be able to help them and you're interested in them and you care about them. And I think it's nice that, you do bother and have that care, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I think it helps a lot to have an interest in the medical field because, I need to learn this anyway,
Yeah.
If I'm going to be a pharmacist, I have to have a good understanding of medications, and obviously they're going to include diabetic medications. So, I may as well look into it a bit more. I think it's important to have at least a general understanding, like a wanting to know more and be able to go, okay, I understand what's happening to you at the moment. How can I help? Do we need to do anything?
Yeah, I think you don't have to know to the degree that we obviously understand our illness. And I don't expect that from a partner at all. No way, because it's a lot. But yeah, to have like a vague understanding or a vague idea of what to do, especially safety-wise, I think is the most important thing for me. It's like, do you care about me? You want to learn about it, but also you want to make sure I'm not going to die while I'm with you.
Yeah.
And what have you learned about diabetes since being with Sebastian? Like, have you taught Bridget anything that she's been like, oh my gosh, I had no idea about that? Or is there anything that you feel has really stuck?
Well, I would say just the day-to-day, how it actually all works. So I didn't know at the beginning that you would have to inject with so much insulin per day. I kind of had this understanding of, maybe it's like once or twice a day, but it can be 5+ times a day. It depends on your body. And the fact that Sebastian's poor little finger looks like a pin cushion.
Just the one.
Yeah.
Well, there's one that's worse than others.
Yeah, I've got a favourite
He has
as well.
a favourite. Yeah. And just the extent of it. Because I think sometimes people don't understand. It's not like, I just don't want to do it today. No, every day you have to maintain your health.
Yeah.
And it's quite extensive, and it's something that I think I learnt that I take for granted, that I just go about my day. I don't have to look at my bloods every few hours, or I'm just chilling. And Sebastian's always got to check things, and he can tell when he's maybe going high or low. And I think I just didn't realise how big a part it plays in every day, that it's something that's probably at the back of his mind.
Yeah. For me, I live like that, and I've lived like that for a while, and that's my routine now. And I think that's how I cope with it as well, just sort of going, this is just what I have to do. Like, this is just another thing I have to do, because if you think of it as a burden, you get quite depressed. And when I'm with someone that often, like you are in a relationship, you're sort of always around them and doing everyday things. When I see that they don't have to do what I have to do, I kind of get jealous. It's frustrating, right? Because I forgot, and I've forgotten that other people don't have to live like I do. And, my sister also has type 1 diabetes, so it's quite a norm for me to see that stuff going on. And when I'm with someone all the time and, they're not worried about their pump when they're sleeping and bringing stuff with us when we're going somewhere, it's just like, that's right. It's sort of like a reminder that you're different. And I guess, Seb, how do you think people can best support their partners? I know Bridget's supporting you in understanding and learning about it. And what things do you feel like people in general should do as like a checklist? Just what would you suggest?
So some of the things I think that we've managed to do quite well, if I can say so and not toot my own horn too much, is the idea of it is a big part of someone's life, but it's not overbearing. So I know that some people are like, here it is, but I need to be overprotective. Oh, if you got this, you got this, you got this. It's like
helicopter.
I can be independent enough to still be able to deal with it, but I just want you to like know and understand what I'm doing. Because I know that also you can have the people, it's like, have you got this? Have you got this? Have you got that? Have you got that? It's just, you're making me more stressed than I want to be.
Yeah. That's probably lack of understanding as well.
Yeah.
Like they don't understand how it's affecting you, and that's why they're so stressed, because they're worried that you're going to die on their clock.
Yeah, fair. And I think the other one is just the basic human needs of being compassionate and understanding of it. Yeah, I know this is difficult, but like, I'm just here for you. So it doesn't even have to be necessarily specifically to do with diabetes, but just being there and being like, I can see you, I can hear you.
Support network.
Yeah, having that person there who really be able to help you and just empathize with you.
Bridget, what do you think Seb's done that's personally helped you understand and navigate diabetes as an illness in general, like your understanding of it, and especially his personal experience?
I think the biggest thing he has done was probably initially letting me in, letting me become a part of the day-to-day. Obviously, we met in a very unconventional way. We met overseas. So I know
a lot of people that meet overseas. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, it was something like that he couldn't really hide from me, sort of thing. So like, I remember the first time I kind of found out that he had diabetes. We were all in a group out at dinner or lunch, and obviously he had to inject. I was sitting next to his mum, I'm pretty sure, and kind of looked over, and she was like, oh, they just have diabetes. That's what they're doing. And I was like, oh, no, I figured, it's okay. I think because sometimes you could tell that he was a bit insecure, maybe would be the word, about...
Is that what you'd call it?
Yeah, well, just like you get those kind of stares, even just being out and about, where it's like, what's this guy doing? And it's like that.
Yeah, and he was kind of, oh, does it scare you? Does it bother you? And I was like, no, it's not that big and scary to me, but I do have a bit of a background with medical things, so it's okay, I get it. But I think like just letting you in, this is a part of me. This is what I have to deal with. This is what I have to do day to day. And I think it's important to be able to go, okay, that's cool. That's just a part of you. It's not a defining factor. I don't think of Sebastian and go, oh, Sebastian, he's diabetic. Oh, that's just my Sebastian. And yeah, sometimes he has to go out with his pack. I never thought I'd be saying, oh, have you got your pack when we go places? But
is that like all your stuff? Yeah, all your diabetes goodies. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely just, I think that just letting you in, letting you be a part of it and not being like afraid to share with you is probably the biggest thing he's taught me. It's not that scary. It's just something that you have to work with day to day.
I love that you say that, because I was like, oh, that's actually so true. I'm very big on, are you going to deal with it? I've got this. So it's like my first check off, my first protocol. But I guess actually letting someone in and teaching them everything, and for lack of a better term, bothering to teach them things if they don't have any medical understanding, or just in general as well, it's tiring. And then you're like, am I just teaching this person and then they're just like, are they going to be gone in like a couple of months? And then I've just had to teach them all this stuff. And
yeah.
The funniest thing for me is like when I've broken up with ex-boyfriends, and then like, you know how you go and get your stuff back from their house? I'm going to get jelly beans, all my spare
the
side
essentials.
Changes. And you can keep the jelly beans because you wanted them anyway when I was low, but not having a dig at any of my ex-boyfriends there. But I will take back my medical supplies because they're kind of expensive and I don't really know what you're going to be doing with them. But you keep the jumper, keep the jelly beans, all good. Just give me back my supplies.
I think that's pretty fair.
Thank you so much, Bridget, for joining us. I always love seeing you, but it's also great to have you actually add to this experience that we have on the podcast.
Keep that on the record, bring it up later. It can be like an IOU. Like, do you remember that one time you made me go on a podcast? Yeah.
It has been so great to talk to Bridget and have an amazing person like that in my own life to help. And for those listening as well, we actually have some tips on starting a safe conversation if you are close to someone with diabetes.
First, you can ask them if it's okay to chat about their chronic illness. 2, you can clarify what they do and do not find helpful personally, because it's different for everyone. 3, you can explain how you feel, e.g. if you're worried, you're feeling frustrated, and why. 4, discuss with them the things that you can do to assist them with their diabetes and what they would prefer that you do. You can also be a supportive listener. Being present and empathetic can really help them navigate their journey. And number 6, you can take the initiative to learn more about diabetes, as it really could help someone. Regularly checking in with one another to see if these sort of situations and circumstances have changed as well is really important.
It is natural to feel anxious or nervous about sharing your diabetes, whether it's with a partner or a friend or with some more family that you have. Opening up can be challenging, and there's no perfect moment to do it. So, here's a few things. Start with a brief explanation of what diabetes actually is, how you can manage it, and talk about some of the more intricate details such as what hypoglycemia actually is. But you don't need to dive in full head first immediately. Your diabetes is simply another aspect of your life. It doesn't control you, but it's an important thing to remember. And your parents, your friends, your partners will slowly learn over time what it actually is. If you're close to someone living with type 1 diabetes, it could throw some extra challenges, worries, and even frustrations. I mean, guilty here. It can also be confusing about how to best support them in these situations. But just remember to take care of yourself too.
For more information on relationships and sexual health, visit youth.ndss.com.au.
It is also important that you regularly check in with them to see if they still want the same support.
And you can feel anxious telling people. There's no perfect time to tell someone, and there's no perfect way to tell someone either. You could start with talking about hypos if that's easiest for you, or explaining the different types of diabetes. But remember, diabetes is not you, it's a part of you. And if you're close with someone who has diabetes, it can be hard on you as well, not just the person with diabetes. So remember to take care of yourself so you can help take care of them as well.
As we wrap up another episode of Life on the Level, we want to thank you for being part of the supportive community. Your stories, questions, and just being here fuel our mission to offer meaningful support and education to people living with diabetes. Keep the conversation going, stay connected, and remember, together, we're stronger. Don't forget to follow the show to hear more wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This podcast is brought to you by the National Diabetes Services Scheme. The NDSS is an initiative of the Australian Government and is administered by Diabetes Australia.
Diabetes Australia acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the traditional owners and custodians of this country. We pay the utmost respect to them, their cultures, and to their elders, past and present. We extend that respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. Diabetes Australia is committed to improving health outcomes for all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people affected by diabetes and those at risk.
All experiences and opinions described in this podcast are those of each individual guest. Your experience and management may be different.